NSA's Robert O'Brien says, no surprise, Russians want Bernie Sanders elected president. Hello and welcome to TST. If you're new to the channel, tap on the subscription button and press the notification bell so you can receive news and updates that you can rely on daily. National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien said it was no surprise Russia is interfering in the 2020 presidential election to help Senator Bernie Sanders get elected in 2020. O'Brien said Sunday on ABC's This Week, there are these reports that they want Bernie Sanders to get elected president. That's no surprise. He honeymooned in Moscow. He continued, President Trump has rebuilt the American military to the extent we haven't seen since Ronald Reagan. I don't think it's any surprise that Russia or China or Iran would want somebody other than President Trump. If President Trump is elected, we'll continue to strengthen the foreign policy, and that's not good for our adversaries. It's good for our allies. Take a watch.
This morning, how is Russia interfering in the 2020 election?
Well, there are these reports that they want Bernie Sanders to get elected president. That's no surprise. He honeymooned in Moscow. The President Trump has rebuilt the American military to an extent we haven't seen since Ronald Reagan. So I don't think it's any surprise that Russia or China or Iran would want somebody other than President Trump. If President Trump's elected, we're going to continue a peace through strength foreign policy and defense policy, and that's not good for our adversaries. It's good for us and our allies.
Well, the reports are actually that they're trying to help Bernie Sanders in the Democratic primaries. And of course, you've seen the reports that the lawmakers have been briefed by an intelligence professional that it's Russia's aim to favor President Trump in the 2020 election. Have you seen analysis from the intelligence community showing that one of Russia's aims in its election interference is to help President Trump?
Yeah, I have not seen that, and I get pretty good access, as you know from your time in the White House. The National Security Advisor gets pretty good access to our intelligence. I haven't seen any intelligence that Russia is doing anything to attempt to get President Trump reelected. I think this is the same old story that we've heard before. I've seen the reports from that briefing at the Intel Committee. I wasn't there, but I've seen no intelligence that suggests that. I've also heard that from the briefers that that's not what they intended the story to be. So look, who knows what happened over at the House and the Intelligence Committee, but I haven't seen any evidence that Russia's doing anything to attempt to get President Trump reelected. And our message to the Russians is stay out of the U.S. elections. We've been very tough on Russia, and we've been great on election security. So I think it's a non-story.
Well, a non-story. Obviously, a lot of people don't think it's a non-story. Obviously, the lawmakers who were briefed don't think it's a non-story. And the reports are that the election security official who briefed Congress, Shelby Pearson, said several times during the briefing that Russia had developed a preference for President Trump. Was she not telling the truth?
Well, what I heard from the Republican lawmakers there, and again, I wasn't at the hearing, so I can't comment what happened to the hearing, and I'm not going to play that Washington game, but what I heard from Republican lawmakers is that there was zero intelligence that was proffered to them to support that sort of comment. I haven't seen any of that intelligence. So if it's out there, it's something I haven't seen. But I highly doubt it because, look, it's a common sense question. Why would Russia want the president who's rebuilt the American military, who's given the Ukrainians lethal arms, Javelin missiles, and has sanctioned the Russians far more than any president in recent history? Why would they want him reelected? I mean, that just doesn't make common sense.
Well, you have seen the intelligence that Russia was trying to hack Burisma, right, which is, of course, the firm, the natural gas firm in Ukraine that Hunter Biden once worked for. And, of course, President Trump had talked about that several times. You have seen those reports, haven't you?
Well, look, I'm not going to get into specific intelligence issues but with respect to Ukraine. But what I will tell you is that I do think the Russians and the Chinese and others like to sow disruption in the American electorate. And I think they've done and that doesn't mean because they prefer a particular candidate. It's because these are autocratic regimes that don't believe in democracy, and they'd like to see Americans at each other's throat. And I think there are a lot of folks who've played right into that. I think the Russians have gotten a great return on investment for a very small amount of election interference. I mean, they helped steal, they helped with the dossier. And they've gotten Americans polarized over this thing. But I can tell you that we're going to do everything we can to keep the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, the North Koreans, or anybody else who would like to do us harm out of our election.
I have to press you on this. Are you really saying you've seen absolutely no analysis from the intelligence community showing that one of Russia's aims, just one of Russia's aims, is to favor President Trump? No analysis at all?
No, what I'm talking about, I've seen no intelligence, and I haven't seen that analysis. The only analysis I heard was reported secondhand from leaks from the House Intelligence Committee that purport to claim that the woman who briefed them said that. But I've seen zero intelligence that Russia's doing anything to help President Trump get reelected, and I don't think it makes any sense. It doesn't make common sense. And look, let me tell you what we are doing. We're making sure we're working very hard with all the agencies. We're working very hard with the states. We're going to paper ballots in many cases to harden our election infrastructure to make sure that not only is there not election influence through trolls and Twitter and that sort of thing, but to make sure that countries can't hack into our secretaries of state in our 50 states and change election results or cause mischief on election day. We're going to do everything we can to harden our systems to make sure that our elections are free and fair and the will of the American people is implemented.
So you're drawing a distinction here between intelligence and analysis, and that is fair. Let me ask you, you've seen no analysis. Have you seen any analysis that one of Russia's aims is to help President Trump, is to favor President Trump?
I haven't seen any intelligence on that, George, and I haven't seen any analysis on that. The only thing I've seen were the press reports on this House Intel briefing, which are secondhand. I don't know if they were leaked out or how the papers got those. So that's the only thing I've seen, but I have not seen that in the presidential daily briefs and my conversations with Director Haspel, Acting Director McGuire. I haven't talked to her because I usually wouldn't work with someone at her level, but I was briefed by Joe McGuire, by Director Haspel, by the new Acting Director Grinnell, and I have not heard that analysis or seen any intel along those lines. So if it's out there, it hasn't been shared with me, and as far as I know, the two acting directors at NDI that I've dealt with and the CIA director hasn't seen it either. So all I've heard about is this House Intel Committee. I also heard, the Republicans have said this, that they asked for the backup for the analysis, and there was no intelligence backup for it. So
just to be clear,
I don't know.
So just to be clear, you're accepting the analysis that the Russians want to help Bernie Sanders, but you're not. You're saying you've seen no analysis that they want to help President Trump, despite the fact that it's been reported and been briefed to the Congress. It's also been reported that President Trump was angry when he was told about this briefing, that he confronted the former Director of National Intelligence, Joseph McGuire, and replaced McGuire with current Ambassador to Germany, Richard Grinnell. That's all true, isn't it?
Yeah, no, again, that's not true. I was in that meeting, and the President was not angry with Joe McGuire. He thinks very highly of Admiral McGuire, and would have liked him to stay in government in a different role. But as you know, Admiral McGuire's time as the acting DNI was up in a week or two. We were looking for someone who was Senate confirmed under the Vacancy Act. We needed a Senate confirmed official to come in and replace him. And so we went with a highly qualified person, Ambassador Grinnell, ambassador to Germany. Keep in mind, the first Director of National Intelligence, Ambassador Negroponte, had previously served in Ambassador Grinnell's position. So Ambassador Grinnell is there for a temporary period of time. We expect to nominate a terrific candidate for a full-time director of the DNI, submit them for Senate confirmation, and I think the President's going to urge, and I'm going to urge the Senate to move quickly to confirm a new full-time confirmed director of the National Intelligence Office of the Director of National Intelligence, so we can get someone in there through the election and take this out of politics.
Well,
But the irony is, the Democrats kept alleging for the past 3 years, technically more than 3 years, that Trump's been colluding with Russia since before the 2016 election. Share your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. And haven't you checked out the official TST store yet? It has a variety of Patriot-themed custom t-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, phone cases, and lots more. Make sure to take a look and maybe help us out picking some products for yourself and your loved ones at great prices. It does make a huge difference to what we're doing here. Link in the description below. If you've liked this report, let us know by tapping that like button down below. Share the news among friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more news and updates on TST. This is David Ravine, and I'll catch you in the next one.